At the beginning, I just knew the pictures. I didn't really know much about her. So those kind of iconic images and the amazing face and the nose, that kind of strength that you get from the images. But I think because I've sort of learnt more, I suppose she's the ultimate survivor. And I think that's really interesting. I find her completely fascinating. I find the clothes fascinating, but I find the history fascinating. And I think she was a very powerful woman. The first time I met Karl Lagerfeld, it was all about sort of the design of the red dress in the original advert. And I think I sat there going, wow, I feel like I'm in a movie. I think he's extraordinary, and what a talent. It's amazing wearing his clothes, you know, it's a privilege. We tried on the catsuit and everyone went, yeah, cool. You know, it was great. It's a Chanel superwoman, I think. I've worked with quite a few people who say, oh, they can only work from conflict, and I'm absolutely the opposite. I find that very jarring. I think that's probably why, you know, I've worked with the same people quite a few times, particularly Joe, is because I don't perform well if it's in that kind of tense atmosphere. I find that I tense up, and I think if you're acting from a place of tension, then you can only act tension, or you can only act rage. It's very difficult to act relaxation or happiness or anything like that unless you're actually coming from a place of calm. I think if you're coming from a place of calm, you can go anywhere, it doesn't matter. For me, it's very difficult when it is me looking back at me. I'm very bad at watching myself on screen. I'm my harshest critic, so it's never a particularly pleasant experience. Mario Testino shot the photographs for this, and I've worked with Mario quite a lot, and that was lovely. Again, I think it's about worlds and creating fantasies, and you see his fantasy world. It's a specific one, but it's one that I always kind of want to disappear into for a moment or two. But what was quite interesting was he'd created, because they were sort of going for quite an old Hollywood style lighting. It was very bright around me, so I couldn't actually see anybody around me, and I couldn't really see him. So it was very much, I was in my own world, I was playing my character. I invent a character in my head, nobody else knows, because that's not what, you know, that's not what photo shoots are about. And I can kind of just go away in my own sort of fantasy world. It's the first women's perfume that I've ever worn, because I always wore men's perfume. And I suppose partly this has to do with strength. You know, you want to feel, I don't like light and flowery, I'm not that kind of girl. I need something that's going to make me feel like, you know, I'm standing up straight. Then a friend sort of said, okay, I think it's time you grew up, and bought me some Coco Mademoiselle, which was the first women's perfume that I've ever smelt and gone, yes, that fits in. Okay, I can do that. And I've worn it ever since. It's not overpowering, and it's not sweet. It's just the right mixture of strength, but also strength and subtlety at the same time. Possibly doesn't make sense, but for me that's what it is. It doesn't overpower, but it just makes you feel like you can stand up straight, and I think that's important for me. Smell's important, isn't it? And you can, you know, it's amazing how it can lift you. If you're feeling awful and you spray something that you really like the smell of, you can suddenly feel much better. It's an amazing thing, particularly, you know, so many people wear the same perfumes, and yet it is completely individual for everyone. And yeah, I think it's a huge part of memory. It triggers. You smell somebody that's wearing the same perfume as an ex-boyfriend, and you go, or you smell somebody that's wearing the same perfume as your mother or your grandmother, and you know, I mean, it instantly takes you back to a place or a feeling, and it can be quite shocking. I also love the bottles. I just find it always feels very decadent, those kind of very beautiful bottles with a beautiful smell. So yeah, it's sensual, it's beautiful.